What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about something interesting related to the potential CP rework for Niantic. Now, Niantic announced that they want to change how the HP and how the defense are calculated. With that being said, there was a user on Reddit by the name of Romania who came up with a very interesting idea as to how this could end up looking, and basically give us a really good idea of what Pokemon could end up being buffed from this or end up getting nerfed. And after taking a look at it, I thought, why not? Let's go ahead and cover the top 10 Pokemon who got the highest CP buff. Yes, of course, these are going to be speculative numbers, but at the end of the day, if it follows the same logic, these Pokemon could end up being the ones that receive the highest buff. But with that being said, let's get into the top 10. Coming in at the number 10 spot is Kingler. So we have talked about Kingler in a past episode this week, that Kingler will get a significant buff, mostly related to the fact that it has an incredible attack stat, an incredible defense stat. All it really lacked was the HP, but according to the HP rework, it could theoretically get buffed up a little bit in that way, so it won't be as much of a glass cannon. But having said that, it will receive a CP gain potentially of 126. Of course, we're going to have to wait to see what the official numbers are, but along with that, there's also some other good news for Kingler, is that it could end up getting a new move added into the game called Crab Hammer, which is something that I'm personally very excited about and definitely want to use as a water type attacker. Number 9. Alakazam, go ahead and check that out. With this potential CP rework, Alakazam could theoretically cross over that 3000 CP. I know that this is a Pokemon that a lot of people like to use, but has probably been using less only for the fact that Mewtwo has become more widely available, being released into the raid system as opposed to just the EX system. A big red flag for Alakazam was that it was such a glass cannon, but with this potential rework, it could end up being a little bit more dense and be able to hold on a little bit more, probably a little bit more like Espeon is now. But basically the buff for this is 152, which is a welcomed addition. Number 8. Shuckle, go ahead and check out that Shuckle. He's got the glasses on because he knows he's the boss. Gaining a CP of 153 potentially from this rework, Shuckle could theoretically become a okay gym defender. It really just depends, but as long as the floor gets moved up for the HP, it could become at least a little bit more viable just because of having such an incredible defensive stat. And as we all would love to see, Shuckle defending some gyms left and right, taking up people's time, definitely gonna be a good laugh. Number 7. Scyther. Yeah, you heard that right, Scyther and not Scizor. Believe it or not, Scyther is going to get a higher CP buff than Scizor. That doesn't mean it's going to be higher than Scizor. Scizor will increase, just not as much as Scyther. So this begs the question, could Scyther become a little bit more useful dependent on the typing? For instance, if you want to use it as a flying type attacker, it could end up being okay to at least keep Scyther in its main form. I'm personally not going to recommend saving up Stardust to power up your Scyther. Go ahead and use Scizor, but either way, it could be interesting if you do catch a high level one in the wild. But there is an increase in the CP of 154. Number 6. Bayonet. Bayonet is the classical poor man's version of a Gengar. It's an incredible Pokemon, it's not too far behind, and it also has access to the move Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball, which is a legacy move for Gengar. So this is personally something that I would love to see get a buff in the game. Hopefully it will work out this way. It's going to end up getting an increase of 173 CP if this formula ends up working out this way. Number 5. Breloom. Now, Breloom is a very interesting case because Breloom can technically outperform Machamp as far as time to win is concerned for raids, but basically the only thing that has held it back is the amount of times that it faints. But if the HP does end up getting buffed, Breloom could end up putting Machamp as a run for its money. I would love to see a Pokemon kind of challenge Machamp since we don't have a lot of good fighting Pokemon technically coming from Gen 4, mostly because of the moveset that some of them get. Something like a Gallade is a great Pokemon, but it may not get the moveset necessary to take down Machamp. But with that being said, Breloom could end up seeing an increase of 182 CP. Number 4. Absol, so go ahead and check that out. Absol is kind of, in my opinion, one of the more underrated Pokemon because of something like Tyranitar or potentially Houndoom. Absol doesn't tend to get used as much as it could get used. Mostly the biggest issue was related to its HP, but with this rework, it could end up getting fixed a little bit, having a CP gained of 189, something wow that I would love to see in the game. Number 3. Gengar. Go ahead and check out Gengar. Yes, Gengar could end up getting a buff throughout this entire rework, potentially having a max CP of 2,827. That is an increase of 208 CP, something very well needed for Gengar because it is such a glass cannon. But with that being said, definitely try to get your hands on a Shadow Claw Gengar because it does look like there is some room in the future for it to improve. Number 2. Starmie, go ahead and check that out. We could potentially see a max CP of 2,546 out of Starmie. That is an increase of 243. Something interesting about Starmie is related to the moveset. It actually has access to Hidden Power. If you aren't as familiar with Hidden Power, basically what will happen is it will switch between Water Gun over to Hidden Power and back and forth. But basically once its Hidden Power gets established, you cannot TM it to get it to go to another Hidden Power. Just as a heads up, but it could provide some interesting choices. For instance, maybe something like a Psychic Hidden Power could end up being great so you can get that stab bonus. Either way, definitely a cool Pokemon to see get a buff in this system. In at the number 1 spot is basically a 4-way tie between the Pokemon that is in the EX raid system currently, so it should get you excited for the EX raids. But the number 1 form of Deoxys that got the highest CP buff is the normal form. Basically, with this normal form, Deoxys theoretically gets a CP change of 442, having that new max CP of 3,191. Go ahead and check that out. A potential new CP of 140, which is a significant improvement. Basically, this Pokemon just falls down to being a glass cannon, but with this change, it could theoretically have some usability in the game, which I know we would love to see considering it is an EX raid boss. So yes, such a fun list, such a big shakeup potentially coming. I like that Deoxys could theoretically become a more viable Pokemon so people get excited for the EX raids. That's actually going to be the question of the day. What Pokemon are you looking forward to the most to get a CP buff? Maybe it's from this list, maybe it's something else, but either way, definitely let me know in the comment section. We are so close to hitting 40,000 subscribers, so if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.
Hit me like a tidal wave. Triggered by the aftershock.